LeBron or Jordan? It's the never ending debate. You know, the one that takes place in barbershops all around the world and on Twitter 24/7, and also in the comment sections on YouTube each and every single day. So, who is the GOAT? Is it LeBron James or Michael Jordan? Let me know in the comment section down below right now. But wait, hold up. I'm not talking about the greatest of all time. I'm talking about the greatest actor of all time, the GOAT, when it comes to movies and acting. Now, who had the better movie? Was it Space Jam 1 or was it Space Jam 2? Now, over the years, many NBA players have been involved in various different movies, whether it be documentaries or even starring in their own films. Now, I know you remember seeing Allen Iverson in Like Mike. Or how about Kevin Garnett in Uncut Gems? And even Boban Marjanovic in John Wick 3. However, these have all been movies where NBA players have only made cameos, but there has been many movies where NBA players have been the stars. Thus, it made me wonder, what were the top 5 NBA player movies of all time? Welcome back to No Small Talk, Just Ball Talk, so let's cut the chit chat and get right into it. Here are the top 5 greatest movies starring NBA players of all time, in my opinion. Now for number 5 on my list, we got Thunderstruck, starring Kevin Durant. Now Thunderstruck was a movie which was released back in 2012, when ironically, the Kevin Durant-led Oklahoma City Thunder were actually playing against the LeBron-led Miami Heat in the NBA Finals during that season, in which they unfortunately ended up losing 4-1. But back to the movie, which was about a young Kevin Durant playing a fictional character of himself, losing his basketball skills to an average high school basketball player named Brian, which then turned Brian from the water boy who wanted to play for his high school basketball team to then the star player of his team. Whereas Kevin Durant, he could not make a single shot in practice or in the NBA, having completely lost all of his basketball skills to Brian. Thus, this movie heavily revolved around Kevin and his agent trying to figure out what happened to his skills and attempting to get them back, which they may or may not be able to do. Now, is Kevin Durant and his agent able to figure out a way to get his skills back in time for the NBA playoffs? That is for you to find out. But all in all, I found this movie to be interesting and very easy to follow. Thus, I would definitely recommend it as a movie to watch. Now for number 4 on my list, we got Hustle, starring Anthony Edwards. Now, Hustle was a movie which was produced by LeBron James' Spring Hill Academy and was released back in 2022 on Netflix, and was a great story regarding a foreign basketball player being scouted and prepared for the NBA draft. Now, I'll be completely honest, Anthony Edwards only has a few scenes in this movie. However, his scenes are the best to me, which is why I mentioned that the movie had starred him. However, in reality, this movie actually stars Adam Sandler, who plays a basketball scout, as well as former NBA player Juancho Hernan Gomez, who plays the role of a basketball player from Spain who's preparing for the NBA draft. The story of a scout who discovers a basketball player with potential and tries to get him a contract with the NBA. But of course, this isn't as easy as it seems, as both Sandler, who goes by Stanley in the movie, as well as Hernan, who goes by Bo, face many difficulties in the process of getting him to the NBA, which includes issues with NBA teams' managements, as well as threats of deportation. Now, was Bo able to secure an NBA contract? I guess you'll have to watch to find out. Now, as mentioned previously, Anthony Edwards makes an iconic cameo in this movie as he plays the character Kermit, who destroys Bo in one of their private practices. However, there was also many other NBA player cameos from the likes of Aaron Gordon, Seth Curry, Kyle Lowry, Matisse Thybulle, Trae Young, Julius Irving, as well as the legend Dirk Nowitzki. Now, overall, this was a great movie with an intriguing storyline, and I would definitely recommend it as a watch as well. Now for number 3 on my list, we got Uncle Drew, starring Kyrie Irving. Now, Uncle Drew was a movie released back in 2018 and was about a streetball basketball coach named Dax, played by Lil Rel, who was left abandoned by his old team, thus having to find a new team to coach before a big street ball basketball game for a cash prize that he so desperately needed. And it is here that Dax is introduced to the idea of recruiting an iconic street ball legend named Uncle Drew to play for his team, who is played by none other than Kyrie Irving. Now, after a lot of convincing, Uncle Drew eventually agreed to join the team, but only on the condition that all of his former teammates he played with back in the 1960s joined the team as well. Now, this is a difficult situation for both Dax and Drew, as Drew and his former teammates did not leave on the best of notes. Now, was Dax, along with Drew, able to recruit the rest of his teammates and win the big game? That is for you to find out. Now, along with Kyrie Irving, this movie stars many other basketball players, including Shaquille O'Neal, Reggie Miller, Nate Robinson, Chris Webber, and Lisa Leslie, whom are actually Kyrie's teammates in the movie. But all in all, this was a nice, feel-good movie and was very funny in my opinion, and I would definitely recommend you guys to watch it as well. Now, moving on to number 2 on my list, we sadly have Space Jam 2, starring LeBron James. Now, I say sadly only because LeBron is my favorite player in the league, thus it almost feels wrong not putting him first. But hey, these lists are my honest, non-biased opinions, so it is what it is. But don't get me wrong, Space Jam 2 was a great movie. Now, being released back in 2021, Space Jam 2 was a movie which starred LeBron James, who played a fictional character of himself, and was about LeBron, his sons, and the game of basketball. Now, in this movie, LeBron, who is now a retired basketball player, wants his sons to pursue the game of basketball just like him. However, his youngest son, Dom, had other plans, as he was a video game developer and wanted to pursue that career instead. Now, when visiting the Warner Brothers studios to discuss a potential deal, LeBron and his son get into an argument in which his son storms out of the boardroom and into a basement server room. And it is here that LeBron and his son are both abducted by AIG, upon which LeBron is ordered to recruit a basketball team to compete against AIG's team for his freedom. Now, is LeBron James and his team full of Looney Tunes able to beat AIG's squad full of hoopers, known as the Goon Squad? That is for you to find out. Now, much like the other movies on this list, this movie also stars many other basketball players, the likes of which include Klay Thompson, Damian Lillard, Diana Taurasi, Nico Agumake, as well as Anthony Davis. Now, all in all, this was a nice, more kid-friendly and hip with the times remake of Space Jam, and I would definitely recommend it as a watch as well. Now, before I get into my number 1 movie starring an NBA player, in my opinion, here are a few honorable mentions, which include short cameos and documentaries as opposed to movies that actually star NBA players. So first up, we got Grown Ups 2, which featured Shaquille O'Neal. Now, this was one of my favorite comedic movies of all time and also starred Adam Sandler, Chris Rock, David Spade, Kevin James, and Salma Hayek. Thus, I don't think I could count Shaq as actually starring in the movie, but he definitely had a few hilarious scenes. Now, next up, we have Rise, which was a documentary about Giannis's life story. Now, this was a great documentary about Giannis's life before the NBA and gives the viewers a unique perspective of Giannis and his family's upbringing and the adversities they had to face prior to making it to the NBA. Now, we also have Shooting Stars, which was one of LeBron James's documentaries, which was about his upbringing and the adversities he faced prior to making it to the NBA as well. Now, this documentary mostly focused on the high school basketball point in LeBron's career, in which Scoot Henderson actually starred as one of his teammates in the movie. Next up, we have The Redeem Team, which was a story about the 2008 USA Olympic team led by Kobe Bryant. The story of the USA Olympic team redeeming themselves after multiple bad international years of gameplay. And last but not least, we got The Last Dance, which was a documentary about Michael Jordan's time with the Chicago Bulls in the 1990s. Now, this was a series which actually premiered on Netflix back in 2020 and gave the average NBA fan who was neither alive or old enough to witness Michael Jordan's greatness a great inside perspective on his basketball career in the 1990s. And now that the honorable mentions list has been completed, let's get right into it. My number one and the greatest movie to star an NBA player of all time, in my opinion, is none other than the classic Space Jam 1, starring Michael Jeffrey Jordan. Now, I don't know what it is, but the nostalgia that this movie brings me cannot be put into words. Released back in 1996, before I was even born, Space Jam was a movie about Michael Jordan, who played a fictional character of himself, and involved him playing a basketball game for his freedom. Now, the movie realistically begins at a point in Mike's career where he had actually retired from the NBA to pursue a career in baseball. Now, upon retiring from the NBA, and after a few stints with a minor league baseball club, Michael finds himself playing golf with none other than Larry Bird. And it is during this exact golf session that Mike is unexpectedly sucked into the Looney Tunes world by none other than Bugs Bunny. Now, Bunny proceeds to plead with Mike to play on their basketball team as their world was invaded by aliens and they were challenged to a basketball game, and if they were to lose, they would have to leave the Looney Tunes world and go to the alien world to work as slaves. Now, the twist in this story is that these aliens had actually stolen the basketball skills of real NBA players such as Charles Barkley, Muggsy Bogues, Sean Bradley, and Steve Kerr, who also make cameos in the movie. Now, based on these facts, the Looney Tunes know they have no chance at all against these aliens. But lucky for them, Mike actually agrees to join the team and makes a deal with the head alien that if he loses, he will also join the Looney Tunes and come to the alien world to work for the aliens. Now, as mentioned previously, this movie is very nostalgic and one I could watch over and over again without getting bored. I think it's because it was made in an age where technology was not as prevalent, thus it focused on other things as well as just the pure game of basketball itself. And not to mention that Jordan was also a great actor and played his character very well. And it's definitely one of my favorite movies of all time. And that is all, folks. Now, if you would like to check out the trailers for all 5 of the movies that I have mentioned on this list, please check out the description of this video where I've linked all 5 of the trailers. And if I missed any NBA player movies on this list, please make sure to comment them down below, as well as let me know your thoughts on the list I created. Please also make sure to like this video, as well as subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed the content, and to also turn on your notifications to stay updated as to when I post next. Now, this is a fairly new channel where my goal is to post 3 to 4 interesting NBA related videos a week, so please make sure you subscribe to stay updated as to when I post next. And this was No Small Talk, Just Ball Talk, so stay locked. Peace.